can't have nothing without detail for it to work out properly. I think, especially in my training when I get training classes, everything is detailed.
Amazing. The Iron Claw movie on the Von Erichs have just come out in earlier December. I know you had a run in that area. Did you have any experiences with Fritz or the boys?
Yes, sir. I had experience with every one of them. I went to see that. One of the fellows I trained at the gym, he wanted me to go with him to the show. So I went with him and his family, went over to and saw that movie the other night. But I was there at the time when Fritz, and we couldn't go out on the street. It was so popular that you'd get mobbed. You couldn't go to Walmart. They'd just run you down. They'd come to your house at 2 a.m. want autographs and stuff, But you have to be careful where you go. But the Von Erich boys they were athletes, brother. They were all great athletes. David passed away in Japan. We had that big show for him at the Texas Stadium. 60 some odd thousand people there. It was quite a show. Right in the middle of their Texas Stadium. It was hot that day too. But Von Erichs was a family who had so much that I don't think nothing had value. That's the reason I think they all took their own lives, because nothing really had value. They had one situation after another that felt that they just all committed suicide, except for Kevin, the one in white next to Kerry there. He was probably the most intelligent of them all. He was the mainstay. He was the mental one of all, because I went to Japan with Kerry, and I know Kerry well. He was, quite a character. All the kids were characters as well. I remember one day Mike tried to walk out of the airplane while it was underway. Tried to open the door. The stewardess set him back down. He wanted to go see David. I mean, that's the kind of mentality I have. So whatever.
Wait a minute. I want to make that clear again. You were in flight, and he wanted to jump out of the plane.
He went to open the door of the plane to go see David.
Wow.
At which he passed away.
So you said
I guess he was in such a stupor. I guess that's what his intent was, to go see David. That's the only thing I could think of, opening the plane door to walk out. But he had to be stopped and be escorted back to his seat. He didn't realize he'd even done it, I don't think. But,
well, you said you saw the movie. Did you feel that was a good depiction of Fritz and the way he treated the boys, or did you think it was? Well, tell me your thoughts of the movie.
I was hoping you didn't ask me that question. I don't like to be negative, but I think it could have been. The timeline wasn't very good, and they mentioned that in a disclaimer in the beginning. I think the timeline could be off. They should have had one of the boys directing. They should have had Kevin directing that film. I think it would have been a lot better. But the characters would have been a lot better. The characters were very weak. It was only one of the boys they pictured as that looked like one of them. Fritz, the character they used for Fritz, looked pretty close to Fritz. But the boys looked horrible, I thought. And then Flair, they did a shot on Flair because we had him at Texas Stadium. And I don't know how they could have got anybody worse than the guy they used for Flair. Just the look of him was just horrible. So overall, I'd probably rate it a 4. Because it could have been directed a lot better, I think. The timeline could have been better if they'd had one of the boys, Kevin. I think Kevin, because he's one of the brothers, he would have known exactly the timeline. Kerry lost his leg at the same time that Mike passed away. When Chris, they didn't even show Chris was the youngest one. He used to drive me and Pebbles around in my van to different shows and stuff when he was 12 years old. When he got in the business, and he killed himself as well. They didn't even show him at all on there. But the timeline was all was crazy and whatever. So I just think it should have had Kevin. It's like somebody wanting to run wrestling and they want to do it themselves and they ain't got a clue. They don't get one of the boys who know how to do it. They want to do it themselves because they think they're smart. I call them smart marks. They think they're real smart to the business, but they really don't have a clue. So they try to do it themselves and they fail in about 3 weeks. They use up all their money and it doesn't work because they don't have the knowledge to make it work.
I'm glad you said that, Chick, because as a fan, and I'm a big Von Erich guy, I felt they should have focused more on the family dynamic and a lot less on the wrestling. I didn't understand why they felt it necessary to have Ric Flair and Harley Race do the promo for 5 or 8 minutes. I thought there was way too much wrestling, and it was a really heart-wrenching story they could have told right there.
Mhm.
I want to bring it right back to you, though. In your dealings with Fritz, did Fritz drive those kids to the situation they ended up turning to, or was it them?
Well, Fritz made it possible by the means he provided for them. When you got more means and too much time, it's not a good combination. When you're doing a lot of, when you're on the negative side, when you're on the negative side doing stuff, I guess. But they, Kerry always worked out hard and whatever, but they were always kind of just in another world, I think. But I think still it didn't have the value. Now, Kevin was a really good guy. Now, my wife and I at the time were taking care of a young girl and a baby in Dallas. They were living with us, and we were trying to help them out because she was homeless. And Kevin even gave her a job in the mattress, which I thought was really nice. This is Kevin you're looking at right here. Somebody told me he was killed in a car accident going home from a show when I saw him on TV the other night. But at his age now, so apparently that wasn't true. But I just think he should have been the one to direct that movie. But I think it'd been a lot better. I was just really disappointed after being there for so long with those guys and knowing them so well. I was just kind of disappointed.